All right.
Okay, sorry, guys.
Alan, can you start the meeting?
Sure, meeting is called to order.
At 5:07.
7:05.
7:05.
7:05.
Here's dyslexic. No. You want to defer the minutes till everybody's ready?
Sitting in front of me.
I did review these earlier, just so you know.
As did I.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I have no comments.
Nor do I. I'm ready to make a motion.
If Alan, we don't know that.
Let's just wait till Alan's done and then I'm.
Yeah.
10/7, 10/28, 12/16.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 7th of 21, October 28th of 21, and December 16th of 21 is written.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's unanimous.
We have any bills, Dan?
There are two bills that Mr. Kent has already signed. You've got your monthly whitewater bill and your latest bill from Hopedale.
Did we get a Brazos bill yet?
We did not. I'm sure we will.
I take it that the odd $59 is because it was a short period or something?
No, so for some, the bill for the fire lines shows up on the Cape Road bill as a past due balance, and I missed it. So we overpaid, I think, or we underpaid, so we owed like 15 cents in interest.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You know what?
We like paid one, but not the other, and then I think previous month we paid twice.
Yeah, hey Dan, you got them all dated October 7th, or at least two.
Okay.
Just
I'll
fix the
them.
dates.
Print. Unless I printed one twice.
My bad.
If you did, whatever, just check the dates.
Yeah. So- Nothing from Brazos yet. I'll follow up with them. Let's see.
It is done.
Yep.
They're in the budget, they're normal, I just sign them.
Yeah, and then the only thing, and so that, just to, recap, the Talbot Farm leak was fixed. It was a huge leak, and as you can see in the water bill, we hit 500,000 cubic feet this quarter, and we're normally like 200. So that is not.
So it's a double whammy.
And Vin called it right on the curve,
And you look right on the spot in that joint and everything.
and,
Double whammy that we're gonna pay. Hope they'll, all that lost water.
yeah, but at least, unlike the last time, it didn't go for a year.
Right.
And we found it, not relying on them.
Right, yeah.
I think I forwarded you his report. but
You did.
It looks like it's about, they were thinking this one, see if big, and it's 15 cubic feet. 15 gallons per minute, sorry.
Well, don't forget, we also had to empty that thing before they could patch it, so that was a lot of work going on.
Veteran, I know
Guys stopped there for a while, that morning.
a few people still have air in their lines, but I think it's clearing out.
Believe it or not, I had it for a full day afterwards. And I
Yeah,
know a few people had groundwater, but I also know Hopedale chlorinated the line.
yeah. Well, the one thing we've learned is anytime we open a hydrant anywhere, it knocks the whole system to zero and messes with everybody's pressure and stirs
Right.
it. It's a mess. 'cause it's
But
just-
I also could tell from the smell the next day, that within 24 hours, Hopedale put a lot of chlorine into the system
Yeah, well, good.
to fix the, because of the stuff in the
Yeah,
line.
right.
But I mean, there's times, I turn my shower on, I'm just gassed by it.
Yeah.
And the next day, we had the air hammer effect, probably for about the next 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah. Did you, the contractor, did somebody go around flushing all the air out? Because you guys.
Oh, yeah, we
slowly
got
fill
it.
the main?
When we turned it back on, we left all the hydrants open.
You did, okay.
And like very slowly, like a half a turn at a time, because they didn't want to make sure nothing was gonna blow.
Yeah, so just so you know, what I do even before you crack open
yeah.
any gates, open all the hydrants.
Oh, yeah.
At the high points.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, okay, good. And just crack the gate on really slow and that, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys
And I-
did
and then I blasted the one on Mill River, and
And,
the neighbors got their driveway washed, that's for sure. but-
and Brazza came back the next day and did the.
Yeah, I was shocked, it was done and paved and everything, just,
No, he called me that night, so. Well, we're lucky we have the guy where his business is on this, well, physically located on the system, and he gets his fire flow from.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's to his advantage, he gets the business, but we get somebody local who can come out right away. And he did come out the next morning.
well, I mean, as I say to Alan, I think they have a regular water crew. I think we got they sent like an emergency crew
Yes,
because it was a little bit of scrambling for parts, but they also, 7 a.m. the next morning, I get a phone call, so they came out.
Oh, that worked out. And that was because you called him that night.
Yeah, I
Well, I
think we
texted-
got lucky you had an opening.
I texted him at night.
That worked out perfect.
Yeah, Paul may want to come in at a future meeting and just give us some tips on how to handle things like that better
Yeah.
next time, because he thought his crew was there longer during the prep time than they could have been.
Well, we ran into a lot of issues with valves not closing all the way.
Right.
We ended up having Hopedale come help us out, and so that took some time.
That's typical.
I think they were missing some of the tools they didn't have, they were on a different truck, but it took them forever to get the line drained because we didn't get the stuff closed off.
That's typical what happens. You build up clutter underneath the valve seat.
Yeah.
And so normally you just flush those things out.
Well, the
Like
thing-
it's up and
The
down.
good news is it's fixed, and even though we lost a lot of water we have to pay for, it's not as bad as the last
Right,
time.
yeah.
And we're in control of the system now, and we had a local guy close it up under our supervision. Because the last time, I'll say it openly, rightly, we had the fox selling us the water, or the chickens they were selling us.
Now, how long, so we picked that up for the last read, right, about a month,
Well, so-
30 days earlier?
Tim had reached out about high usage over the summer, which I did, it seemed to match high customer usage.
Sure.
There was a lot of irrigation going on. But when you look back at our usage history, we had 3/4 that were fairly elevated.
Okay,
But yeah, Tim, so they they have monthly numbers. So he basically said, you guys use way more water than you normally use in November.
that's
And
good.
then we had,
And then we
what's his
jumped
name
right
come
up.
out, JMR, I forget the kid's name now,
Oh, Jesse,
Jesse, he came
Yeah.
out and found it right away,
right, yeah.
half the price of the other guy.
I know, he's terrific.
So,
And with-
I think you'd be great. if-
Yeah,
especially
well,
at the time.
when we update the master meters, we'll be able to look at that a lot earlier as well.
Oh,
No
yeah.
question, yeah.
Because right now, we can't access it.
Yeah,
Well, I said, me, I want all the data. I mean, we can, 24-hour readings and
That's what I want, because,
compare stuff literally to gallon.
well, that's what I want, because, hopefully, if and when, well, we know it's gonna happen at some point in the future, hopefully we'll have the master meters upgraded, and we'll be alerted a lot quicker than Hopedale saying, gee, you're a little high, 3 months after it's been running up. We'll know within a week or a month.
just so you guys know, those meters that we talked about earlier, putting those in, and those things were terrific, and you can get remote readings.
That's what we want.
That's exactly what we want, yeah.
I mean, what I want is, I know that the technology is there today, that at least he can get a beep on his cell phone if the thing goes higher than a preset limit, and check it out. That's, if the technology is there, let's get it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a couple of grand more, put it in, because in the long run, it's saving us money on leaks.
So,
Anyways,
So that closes that.
so we don't have the bill yet.
Under the bill,
He tends to run about 30 to 60 days.
yeah,
I think he's trying to figure out whether to do the,
did he give you a rough idea? 5, 6 grand?
no.
well, I think
I
what
think
he
the
was.
focus was get it fixed.
What his guys were talking about was that Paul, the owner, had to decide whether to do prevailing wage rate or just do his own rate. So I have a feeling the bill will be, another month.
Well, the bill, I mean, when I talked to you, the last time we had him out, it was about $5 grand. I know that this involves some materials that were more expensive more time, so probably 10 grand plus the paving, but that's not
Aren't
bad.
we glad we set up that fund?
So, I don't think we'll probably be able to pay most of this out of the budget.
Okay, but
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind is when they went to get some pipe to replace it, they didn't think, they couldn't find any. And then finally the supplier of the puppies and found one piece.
By the pipe?
well,
Presumably it's not really worth it to start our own stock.
but Braza was going to do that. the guy who dug up the road was gonna do that for us.
Yeah, we should have a chat with him. I mean, I
Oh,
don't know. Even just a single piece of.
No, Paul's foreman and
across the
then-
highway.
Paul's foreman who was there, and then Paul himself told me afterward, they're gonna get, we need to tell them what sizes we have. They'll build up a little stock in the garage there.
All right, well, I can give him a call. I mean, it's really just, you know, a couple of those couplings and really a P, I mean, I don't know, what would you, that was PVC. I don't
So
know
I
what
was
you
gonna
use
say, the
for
most common
asbestos cement.
size pipe out there is 6 inches.
6 and 8, I know.
8 inch, yeah, 8 inch is probably what we got through the entire.
Well, the problem is,
I imagine
what his foreman said
cement.
is people were doing last minute
Different
jobs in the
color.
fall. You know, everybody was doing last minute jobs in the fall before the winters. So the guys were all out of stock because everybody bought them out to finish before the frost in the winter. But I think, you know, I'll get Paul a zap tonight on the way home. I'll text him.
Did he tell you how that played out? So they go to Putnam Pipe, there's nothing. So he calls me, he's like, I guess, you know, we'll do it in cast iron, we'll just get it done. Turns out they had one piece like out back with the bell end broke off. And he's like, good enough, we only need a little length of it. It was like, you know.
Yeah, so they cut it.
Yeah, it was
They
what
cut
we
it to
needed.
fit.
It was like a, you know,
So here's the other thing, we got into a jam like that down the road. This is where it pays dividends to have a relationship with the surrounding towns. Like, I know for a fact, Upton has a little bit of inventory, Uxbridge, I'm sure, Ben
Right.
Sherman, all these surrounding towns would be more than willing to help us out if we get into a jam like that.
Well, the good news with you on the board is we have those relationships.
No question.
I figure if this, you know, this comes up every 2 years, we're in good shape.
Yeah. Yes.
And again, whenever the new master meters get in, we'll know before Oakdale can tell us.
I know. Yeah, we gotta go on here, right? Go on with that, for sure.
And presumably, if you're planning construction, you talk to the factory and get the order with a couple of weeks' notice if you.
It's just this.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the downside of being the size we are is we don't have a department. You know, we don't have supplies. We have to
We got no equipment.
react. I mean, the good news is we have a local contractor willing to come on very short notice and at very favorable rates. I mean, he's not gonna screw the town because he's in it.
Dan, I can work with you on a
Yeah, we
list of
can-
things that we should have for inventory.
We had talked on the phone.
Right, yeah.
But we'll sit down at some
Yeah.
point. I mean, I think we need to get a different type of gate wrench. There's a couple small things that will.
Yeah, and if you need a place to store the pipe, worst comes to worst, throw it in my backyard.
We have, that stuff, I think, you know, we can work with Alan.
I was gonna say, couldn't we put it down a highway?
You know, yeah,
Yeah, but if worst comes to worst and he's got no room, throw my backyard. I got
I did,
Yeah.
3.5 acres back there.
just so we, you know, I think we can close out a bunch of these items.
Okay.
I ordered the cold shot thing. It's ordered, the pipe freezing kit, it's being shipped.
Good.
I set us up an account with Ferguson, who also is tied into Pollard Water.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna go to, you said, I mean, I'll check with you, we gotta get some valves and some parts, because I actually went today, 10 dates, 8 dates.
Some brass valves you're talking about?
Yeah, I went and measured what he has, so we can get the right stuff, we've gotta get those 2 valves fixed, I know,
Yeah,
and honestly, in terms of the curb stops, part of me is thinking, you know, so when we worked with Hydrant, it was $5,000, but it's for the day. So if we can come up with a whole list of, you know, 7 or 8 of them that gotta get done, it's cheaper to do it that way than it is to pay Braza a couple thousand each.
Yeah.
right.
But at least in these 2 cases, we get these valves done and then we've got the crisis off our hands and then we can,
And don't forget that Paul Browse is still willing to do the rest of the meters.
yeah, we gotta follow up on that too, but
Before another COVID wave hits, we gotta get it in there.
Okay.
kind of put that on lock. I mean, and as we do final readings, I'm doing them. And as I said, if we can come up with a way that the town can pay me per diem, I can do some more. but not doing it for free.
No, not at all.
Alan, because we have some gentlemen waiting on
Yeah, it's,
the Zoom, can we move the agenda around to get the,
I'm sorry, say again?
we have some people waiting to talk to us over Zoom. Can we move them up on the agenda?
Well,
I think,
where's the agenda?
I think the next thing would be the discussion on the Cape Road contract and specifically the 23 Cape and the proposal for fire connections. I think one of them is on the call.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to, just- so, and I think these folks are here for it. We don't have to sit here all night. We're going to a minutia of curb stops.
Yeah, let's go ahead and.
So the site, what's the site on the agenda?
So let me just.
It's, discuss 23 Cape Road fire connection.
Okay.
So that the
This is the warehouse.
contract is up, it's, I mean, I guess we should just reach out to Hopedale for the usual. But this developer has reached out, they're interested in a fire connection. I know we talked to Tim about it. I talked to Tim again, Tim promises they would talk about it at their next meeting, which I think is the 13th.
So we don't have to go, he's gonna bring it up for us.
I was gonna sign in.
I think
It's not a formal meeting, although I think I had drafted a letter, and maybe it's worth sending them a letter and just saying, hey, you know, if you have time, can we do a joint meeting on the 13th? And
Yeah, I think we should, because they like it when we go in person to beg for the fire connections.
you know, I mean, I think, and we talked last time, the bottom line is, it's a fire-only connection. If there's a fire, they're gonna use the water out of the hydrant anyway, so it's not any more or less water.
But I thought there was an issue with the flow test.
It's, I mean, they can speak to it a little bit, it's not great, but I think they still want the connection. It's just, I think it depends on the size of the pump and the tanks that they need.
And the size of the building.
I mean, I guess my impression of the conversations I've had is that the availability or lack of availability is not the deal breaker. It's just, it would, something that could benefit all of us, because we can charge money for it, Hopedale can charge money for it,
Right.
and they get an actual connection.
And actually, statistically, they'll use less water because the fire will be put out with the sprinklers rather than having to call the fire department.
The last time we groveled to Hopedale, they said they were fine with fire connections.
Well, so this is what I'm so, we had this whole discussion. It
Yes.
was, DC Bates was interested in that property, same exact conversation. We went to Hopedale, oh yeah, sounds great. They wrote up that amendment, and then it fizzled out. Then they add now, I don't know if we never like
No,
signed it.
the last time we went was when Lobrister proposed the building on the corner of Bates. And I was there for the board, and they would not do anything beyond fire connection. But they were very clear, they were more than willing to do fire connections. But that's where they made the statement that they're denying businesses in Hopedale water, so they don't want to give us any more connections. But they'll do the fire connection because it's not used all the time, and they get to charge for it. That's the last place we left it. I don't remember signing anything.
Yeah, I thought we had it was like a draft amendment.
Well, it probably got dropped along the way, but,
It got finished because that project fell apart.
and what's her name is off the Hopedale board now.
Well, that's the huge difference.
So do we have an existing MOU with them for anything like this?
We have the contract.
Just the contract.
Okay.
So I don't know,
And the
Connor's on
Cape
the call.
Road contract needs to be.
Okay.
I don't know if you have anything to add. This is Connor's the engineer on the project.
Hi, Connor.
Nice to meet you
Oh,
all.
hang on, I got the
How you
volume
doing
turned
tonight?
way down. Hang on. I forgot.
A little too much.
You good?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Connor.
everyone. Nice to meet you. Yeah, we're just looking for a fire connection. Understanding that a domestic connection is not available at the site, so we're just asking to be part of that request when you meet with the Hopedale board.
I have no problem asking.
Do we have some of the basic information, like the size of the building, how many sprinkler heads or anything like that?
I
I
think
can,
it
I
is,
can get you. I can get you all the pertinent information about the actual fire system. I've just got to talk to my engineer. The size of the building is about 200,000 square feet.
the one thing we do, we spoke earlier, it sounds like you would also have a large tank that we
With
probably
a
want
water
to make
tank.
sure of. If they're gonna have, I assume they're not gonna want that tank filled initially by
Right.
their, maybe they will, maybe they want to charge us for it, but. Would you said
So
300,000
you can have a
gallons.
cistern, you can have a cistern tank as well as having.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
well as having a
more
sprinkler
of
system in the.
more of a redundancy.
Okay.
We'd have the fire sprinkler system in the building and then a tank as redundancy to back up the system, which we could fill from another source, obviously. if needed up front.
Sure, all right.
I mean, I know the other, so one of the, I think it was you guys, there was a draft of a plan that possibly showed a new hydrant down there. Only because that may be something that we need to make sure there's like a fee per hydrant that we have to pay, just so we know
Sure.
upfront that that's a thing that might or might not happen.
I can get that. I can get that info too.
I suppose if that's replacing the Witten Road hydrant, so it might not matter, because I assume that would be changed.
So has anybody done a hydrant flow or a flow test down there to see?
They did
what-
one.
We did one.
Okay.
They did one and it didn't come out very well. That's why they want to do
Okay,
a direct connection.
They got 790 gallons per minute.
okay.
So this-
That's not a lot of flow.
Right, and this ties back to the discussion. So what we've learned, the master meter is only a 6-inch meter with an 8-inch main.
And that's a restriction.
Tim says all the stuff in Hopedale is old. And I think that's why Tim is pushing the suggested Plains Road option. Because it would end up with better fire.
I agree with that, but here's the thing. If we replace that existing meter now, 140, and go with that solid type meter with parts, you're gonna automatically increase the flow. That would be a big benefit.
But we could also, if we did the Plain Street connection, we could also put the meter pit there
Right, yeah. It'd be a much easier access.
and get it where we don't need, 3 policemen to
Going
guard
up the state road.
the guy doing it.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately.
We could put it on our side of the street, not Hopedale's.
So has that been proposed as far as getting some supplemental cost or some cost?
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned it to them. So when they build, I assume when they build this, they're potentially looking at modifying the easement because they're not going to want to build on top of that water main that goes through the Talbot farm.
Right.
So you'd have to bypass it, you'd have to do all that. So you have to meet with Tim. I think Tim's suggestion is do Plains Road, split the system in half during construction, and then just build the new thing when you're all done.
Sure.
You go straight to the building?
I think,
Well, you're not gonna rerun a new main through that easement at all. You're just looking for,
well, we do need a line to go through there to connect the Cape Road side and the Talbot Farm side. That's how I get the water.
Well, the DEP's been wanting us to build that connection forever.
okay.
Right, so you leave the existing meter pit just as a valve, so you have an
So
emergency. interconnection.
we have a confluence of things. When the DEP wanted it, it helps us with putting the meter where we can access it.
Right.
And coincidentally, they're building it.
And I think the big, whatever unasked question is, is there potentially room for negotiation if this developer was interested in financing some of that project? Would Hopedale let them have more than just a fire connection?
Well, that's between them and Hopedale.
Does Hopedale get anything out of this? I don't know.
No,
Maybe.
Well, if they allowed domestic use, they'd be getting
they get water revenue.
Yeah,
but-
wow.
a lot of revenue, right?
But we had this conversation before about, the Plains Road connection and it just, why isn't that always pushed?
Right.
What do
Well,
we
they
do?
want it for some reason.
Right.
So what is this building? Is it just for a warehouse? Is it just storage or?
Just for a warehouse, yeah, warehouse and distribution use.
Yeah, so very little water usage.
Very low water usage. The only water usage really is the perceived water usage from the fire sprinkler system, but that's only in the event of a fire. So I think with that size of building, we'd be looking at like 3,600 gallon per day flow, which is really just toilets and bathrooms.
Yeah, okay.
And I
So-
presume that the sprinkler system will be designed by a suitably authorized sprinkler system designer.
The whole building,
That's correct. Yep, it'll be designed by an engineer.
Is it a technical specialty of designing fire systems?
Well, it's gonna be code, so.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
it's
present.
gotta be code,
Yeah.
but in
present the
reality,
Building inspector.
we don't really have say over the building approval.
No, I'm just checking.
So,
I guess, the question is, how do you present it to Hopedale? And, I don't know, every time we've gone in there and even said the word new connection.
well, it's up to us to talk, it's up to us to go talk about fire flow connection. I think it's up to these folks to go meet with Hopedale and try to negotiate their own connection, because we already have the answer.
Well, so maybe, we could all attend on the 13th and they can see if Hopedale will talk to them.
Yeah, because
Attempt.
Did anybody from your office already reach out to Hopedale and find out what the requirements are, or is there a chance that,
We haven't reached out to Hopedale yet. Thought the protocol was to go through you guys as it related to water. But we're more than happy to do so. If you want us to talk to them directly about, what we can do in terms of helping out with the system, we're open to that discussion as well.
I think we ought to be there for that meeting, so I think it would be, Dan, when we asked to meet on the 13th, it's to discuss a fire flow connection, but also say that they want to talk about.
They want, all right. So,
Sorry.
I mean, it's been made crystal clear to us that they only want to talk to Mendon. Do not keep sending developers to call them.
all right.
But I think in the context of the meeting is probably the only place to do that appropriately.
But I think we all need to be in the room to hear what's said,
Yeah.
and it's not us making the request. It would be the construction company that's building the warehouse to make the request. Because we've been told, just so you guys know, we've been told by Hopedale time and again, no connections. Other than fire flow.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing too, you want them in, because if there's any technical questions that Hopedale throws at pertaining to the building itself.
Yeah, and we're requesting the fire flow
That's it.
or the fire connection. We're not gonna request, but we need to be there for the discussion. And we need to make that clear to Hopedale.
And so I had started drafting a letter. I can put it up on the screen if you want, but I mean, basically just, I need to know how informal we need to get and just say, hey.
Well, I would just say that they'd like to come in and discuss the whole.
Yeah, we just want to ask them to put us on the agenda for, item of discussion for this connection, for fire connection.
I mean, the email I got back from Tim sounds like that's the plan, but it was probably, as we know, follow up.
And that meeting's virtual, like,
They've been doing Zoom meetings. I think they're in person, but I think the public joins via Zoom.
okay.
Same as we did last time.
I'm available, I don't know, Alan, Eva.
What day of the week is the
I
13th?
believe it's
Next
next Thursday. That's when it's supposed to be. They haven't posted. it.
Okay, then I'm fine.
And they have a lot going on with all new tanks and stuff. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad night is Tuesday
It's
nights,
busy.
Good.
because we work till 7 every Tuesday night.
All right, you guys have any more questions for us, or?
No, I
We didn't give you a lot of answers.
No, it's helpful. It's just, it's the start of the process. So appreciate you guys being helpful. And, it sounds like a lot of the decisions to be made in this joint meeting. So appreciate your time and consideration.
When are you guys looking to break ground over there? This spring?
Well, they don't have approval yet.
Well, we don't have approvals yet. We still have to go through the planning board process, conservation commission process, and a few other approvals. So not for quite some time.
Did you submit any applications to the Concom or the planning board for site plan approval or anything yet?
We have submitted our wetlands delineation to the conservation commission. And I think we are going to be resubmitting to them shortly and have held a informal meeting with the planning board. We have not submitted any application to them yet.
Okay, all right.
Nor is it on their agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, so this is all just preliminary stuff right now, but.
Yep.
Yeah, it's preliminary, and the folks here have to realize, we have no say in the building going there or not. It has nothing to do with
I was thinking that why are we asking all this about the water and everything if we're not even sure the building's going in there? I don't want the building there. It's
Well,
my backyard.
because the fact of the matter is, this may determine whether or not they go proceed.
I think, I guess the way I see it is, like you said, we're not the ones making the decision. But if this is going to happen, we might as well get something out of it, or at least.
Yeah, but if it happens, we have to be ready for it. One of the steps for that is getting approval for the fire connection.
Yeah.
I mean, we got approval for a building that's never getting built. In fact, a whole different plan and owner is now submitted to the planning board that just got approved on the corner of Bay Street. But in fact, it's part of our job to go and work with Hopedale on the connection. But we don't have anything to do with the approval of the building. That's all the planning board.
I was just wondering if maybe something had been approved and everything, just didn't know about it yet and.
No, they haven't even held hearings on it.
I think,
If you're in a butter, you'll get a notice from the planning board
That's the
anyways.
funny
It's on the
thing
meeting.
is, I don't think I'm in a butter anymore because Blue Wave came in and put in the solar farm. That became the butter.
Jack, was it a radius or?
It's gonna be 300-foot radius and abutters to abutters. I don't know if you're in an abutter, ma'am, I don't know where you live,
I
but
live on 13 Edward Road.
Well, just looking at the site with an aerial, I'm blessed in my work as an assessor. I have aerial shots of all the towns, and it lets you do measurement. Just plotting as close as I could to that clear area that I see aerially, there isn't a house within 500 feet of this.
Huh?
I did the linear lines on the map to the.
well, it's from the property line, as you know, not the,
Yes, I know, but most people don't care about the property lines. They care about how close it is to their back door.
yeah, whether she gets, notified.
What did you say, it was 300 feet?
Right now, I had woods all behind my house when I moved there. Right now, I have a solar farm and I have.
Well, you're not gonna like me
I have a
saying this,
soccer
but
field, and
I'm gonna give you the benefit of my life in town government, which is 40 years. If you move somewhere and there's vacant land nearby that you don't own, while you're alive, if you don't own it, somebody's gonna build something on it, whether you like it or not. That's cold, hard fact of life. And I've encountered it everywhere I go. People raise the same objections. And I said, did you look at the zoning when you bought your house? No. Okay, do you own that land? No.
when was the zoning changed though? Because when it was Mile Affairs Hall property, those 26 acres, that wasn't,
That was rezoned. fairly
Town
recently.
meeting rezoned about 4 years ago. That side of 140 goes to the back lot line. And hopefully this coming spring, they're gonna zone my side, which is the other side of 140, to the back lot line, to make parity.
I think it was 2013 when the Thayer property, and I don't know, this property has been commercial since zoning existed.
Yeah, you just also have to remember, 16 and 140 have been the commercially zoned sites in town since zoning came in the 60s. It's always been intended for commercial. And I'm probably the heretic, and I live diagonally across the street. I'm not in a butter, but I will tell you, of all the things to put there, that's probably the best thing to go there.
well, we agreed. Solar farm was gonna be the best thing. Never thought it was gonna be something even.
Solar farm doesn't generate as much taxes. And from a,
Well, excuse me, I don't mean, I'm not sure, I'm not understanding all this, but I don't think the soccer field generates any.
the soccer field doesn't generate any taxes. They, as an assessor, I can tell you, they beat us by going to Boston and changing their charter, just as we were about to say you're not a charity. They went, changed their charter and got themselves one.
The lights light up, not as badly as some of the other people in the neighborhood, but I get the lights into my dining room, I'm in my backyard when they're playing soccer.
But that's a different issue than this, so.
Yes.
But
So
it,
is it the position of the town that development is going to happen and the residents be damned? I mean, is
I
that?
can't speak for all the town boards, I can speak for the two that I'm on. And one is from an assessor, I look at any commercial growth in the town as positive for the town, if it's done correctly. And on the water board, it really doesn't matter because we can't stay more connections.
Well, it's the benefit of the town at the detriment to the people that live there.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
gonna,
I'm going to have a 200,000-foot warehouse in my backyard.
Only if the planning board approves it.
they approve everything.
I mean,
But you also have to remember, that's the commercial zone. They're proposing what is allowed by our town rules and regulations. Okay,
Unfortunately,
as far as I know, you're not asking for any zoning variances, are you?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Okay, then they get to go before the zoning board as well.
And it's not,
Potentially.
and it's not an as of right use.
No.
It's over 10,000 square feet, though they need a special permit, which is discretionary to some degree.
Right, and I will tell you, in things this size, I would recommend you go to see a guy named Larry Duncan, who's the town planner in the town of Milford, and ask Larry for a copy of a special permit that allowed the glass plant to be converted to the Amazon warehouse. And you'll find out there are a lot of conditions that the planning board put on it. And the town is still working with them to put conditions on it. So for instance, working with the town, although OSHA requires the backup beep beep, they changed the sound. Right? They also put in the Board of Health in Milford put in a noise bylaw, and they did ambient noise measurements as far as a mile away. And if those ambient noise measurements are violated, the building owners will pay a fine.
A fine.
Oh, big deal.
Those trucks are gonna be there 24/7, every day of the year. What if your bedroom was outside the warehouse?
For the board's edification, I had the pleasure of meeting this couple today and another gentleman, and I see him up there, Bruce. They're gonna have their say in front of the planning board, and they're gonna.
And he's on.
And the board will take into consideration everything that under the bylaw that they have to.
Right.
What they vote on, who knows? And what they present,
I mean,
if they present.
If they present, I'll tell you, I intend to go to the planning board, and I'll put these guys on notice. If that building's gonna get a special permit from the planning board, then these guys are gonna rebuild that traffic intersection. Because they can't handle the Amazon 18-wheelers that Milford sends our way illegally. Milford did an illegal truck bypass, which really needs Hopedale Amendments permission.
We did talk about that, and most likely that's gonna have to happen. I mean, it's at an F, it's operating at under F circumstances.
Well, the problem is the way it was relayed out. If you're coming up Hartford Avenue and you want to make a left turn onto Cape Road, and you're at the stop bar, which is 3 cars back, you're gonna get whacked by the Amazon trucks turning.
But all this stuff will get flushed out.
But again,
no pun intended.
No, but it's really, to cut it short, it's not the jurisdiction of this board.
And as I told these people, they're gonna be going to ZBA. And if they get through ZBA, they'll come to the planning board, but.
Yeah.
And of course, they gotta deal with their water situation before any of those happen.
And there's nothing to say that the original proposal might not be downsized by those boards.
It very well could. Happens all the time.
But if you're really concerned, go and see, his name is Larry, Dunkin, like Dunkin' Donuts.
I know Larry, we can talk.
He's the town planner in Milford, and he's the custodian and the drafter of all their permits.
I helped with Amazon and Oxford. We'll see what we can do.
So, but in any event,
I think,
can we move on?
yeah, Eric had his hand up.
Hey, Dan. I'll ask 2 water relevant questions for this site. I guess the first question I'd have is, should this building go in, and should they be allowed just a fire connection? Would they be paying like capital improvement fees similar to residents?
Yeah, I think they would be treated like any other connection. They'd pay the $50 to Hopedale, the $12 to Mendon, the $30 minimum charge for the connection. I assume there'd be some initial connection fee.
Yep.
That's really the advantage here. One of our struggles, I think, is that we're so small, we can't possibly be, that's why the rate's so high. We've only got 154 customers.
They'd be paying the normal hookup fees that anybody doing a fire flow would pay.
Yeah, it's like
And then a
100,
minimum charge, but that's it.
165 a month or a quarter,
Yeah.
the fire fee.
Is there any interest in the board in increasing those fees, proportional to the amount of square footage that's being served?
I believe our fees are now staggered based on the size of what you're connecting.
The capital fee is fixed for everybody, same for everybody. The local fee is same for everybody. The minimum fee is the same for everybody. The connection fee, that's something we're gonna have a discussion, and I don't know if Hopedale might choose to, this is a unique situation. We have a connection fee like we charge Graza.
Right.
I believe it's, I wanna say it's a minimum of $1,000 and $1 per gallon per day of Title V flow. So if he says 3,600, it'd be 3,600. I have no idea if Hopedale would charge a fee on top of that,
Hopedale would charge a connection fee as well.
because this is a new connection. Or, I think that's all to be discussed, but we got that far yet.
No,
Oh, yeah.
not gonna do it tonight.
Because in fact, we're still talking theoretics until they start getting approvals.
So I have a secondary question as well. And I'm not actually necessarily sure that this would go to you guys, but with respect to a fire hookup, I look at our town and I say, okay, we're a small town, we've got a small fire department. Could the fire department even service a fire at a warehouse this large? And I guess my question being, does a fire hookup make or break the difference between whether that building could go there? I don't know if my question made sense.
You should ask the applicant that.
If I understand this correctly, and maybe Connor, you can, if you were unable to have a fire connection, you could also have some sort of a cistern and pumps that would satisfy the same thing, most likely.
Just like the police station has next door.
I think that's the question.
Well, I guess my question is more, regardless of any automated fire suppression system, is our fire department capable of addressing a fire in a building that large?
I would bring those concerns up to both the planning and zoning board, because they can put conditions on things that we can't.
Okay.
And Eric, we'll send all the plans and have a discussion with the fire chief on this. I don't know the answer, but it's a good question.
Yeah, fire departments routinely examine any large building anywhere, especially now that the, what I call it, well, this would have needed one anyway, but we have several large buildings in town with sprinklers and holding tanks. The fire chief has to weigh in on this.
Yep.
But it would be the planning board and the zoning board.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm thinking in terms of where this would be, 5 to 7 times larger than the largest building we already have. It's certainly a concern there.
Yeah, but again, the people who have the right to put conditions on things are the planning board and zoning board. Planning board has a special permit, the zoning board has a special permit. And they're allowed by law to put conditions on things. We can't.
I think also to Eric's point though, I think that highlights why the importance of getting this out of the way now.
Yes.
Go talk to Hopedale. That way, when it goes to those boards, they have the information they need to make the decision.
Right, and they'll also have an
That could
answer,
be-
which is going to be, it's either a fire sprinkler connection or it's a bunch of cisterns. And then the fire chief can weigh in on that system.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess just unless somebody else has something, just for me, I'll draft something to send to Hopedale to request a joint meeting to discuss the renewal of the contract. I'll just let them know that we're continuing to explore alternate sources of water and we get some grants, blah, blah, blah. We'd like to discuss fire connection.
And they do have an update on that.
The developer would like to meet with them as well, and then I'll update them on the master meters, because I know that. We talked to Tim, so I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say too, we'd also be looking to get some help from the developer as far as improving our water flow down there. So that.
Which we could convey to the planning board and zoning board.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll make sure you guys get a copy of the site plan when it comes in, so you can comment on it.
Yeah, we'll probably send a representative to the planning and zoning board hearing if we do want some help on improving the system because of the building.
Right.
We'll definitely give the verbiage that we'd like included in the decision.
Perfect.
Because in anything like this, there is obvious mitigation, and we talked about the intersection. There are other things the planning board can require. So, and I just agree with the folks. This would be one of the biggest developments we've ever seen. And the conditions put on it to me are paramount for giving the town the best control over, protecting the neighbors and protecting the town. Well, the more butters show up at the planning board meeting, the more the planning board has to realize they have concerns that need to be addressed. I mean, I may be in favor of it conceptually, but I'll tell you, there's things that I want to put in as conditions as a neighbor. I'll be real candid, I'm already burdened by Amazon trucks pounding past my house all night long on their way to Franklin, and I don't like it. And they're coming out of Milford. Because Milford illegally, and you'll get a kick out of this, Jack, if you know the highway bypass rule, you need permission to send them to another town. You get to the end of National Street in Milford, and there's a sign saying preferred truck route, points to Hopedale and Minden. That's illegal.
Well, planning board's gonna want that.
That sign probably got put up by
The town of Milford.
at midnight.
No, the town of Milford made it a condition of that permit.
Yeah, that's probably.
But
So I think that, I don't know if there's anything else unrelated to the contracts. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's.
no,
just-
I mean, both of them need to be addressed at the meeting with Hopedale.
I think it would be helpful to walk them through the updates that we'll get to later in this meeting.
Yep.
It helps much.
So you want to go to the meeting with Jack, because he's got a long distance to go home.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, so you have a long distance to go home, and technically you were next on the agenda.
Oh,
Or actually, we had senior center well and housing. Do you want to?
So I put that on the agenda because it was something I needed to update you about, and I have no idea what it was. It was just, it was something I was gonna it wasn't like critical, I was just gonna keep you informed, and now I don't remember what it was.
It doesn't matter. That's never going to get built.
No, it was something about I feel like it was something about the current, what was there now. Amy put in a filtration system, which doesn't really matter. They had to change the sample schedule.
Okay.
But there was something, maybe it was just to check in, so they, if the housing thing, they were hoping they could do a shared well, that's not gonna work, it's gotta be its own totally separate well, owned by that.
Right, we learned that at town meeting.
However, he did design a space for a new well, I know what it was. He designed a space for the new public water supply for the senior center, however, they are going to make sure when they sell the land to the developer, they are carving out the existing zone 1 for the senior center well. So we will actually now own our zone 1, which we didn't. So that's a good thing. That's what it was.
I'll believe that gets built when I see the breaking ground. No developer is going to bid on something that stricter. There's no way they can handle a septic system for that many units on so small a parcel of land in this town. Can't happen. And believe me, in my days here, I've seen the Concom allow things I never thought would go anywhere. But there's no way you could get 40 units on 2 acres of land, 2 or 3 acres of land in this town, and a septic system to support it.
Yeah.
Not even Sunrise has that many. You just can't do it.
Jones gonna say.
I just want to say thank you, Jack, and thank you, thank you for keeping the residents in your mind when you're making your.
Anytime you want to look at that site from the air, I'm in the phone book, Kevin Rudden, I'm the only one in the Mendon phone. I have an old-fashioned house phone. Leave a message, because I'm never home, but leave a message on the machine, and I'll bring the laptop home from work and be happy to show you the site from the air. Okay, I can also show you similar sized buildings from the air, so you can get an idea what they look like.
Well, we know what they look like, and it's not just the building. The building is 5.3 acres. There's at least that much more land for parking areas and trucking, so.
But I can show you similar sized buildings in Holliston and Milford, and you can see their effect on land.
Yeah.
And I can go back before they were built and show you the vacant land and then it being put there. And I'd be happy to do that for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Good, guys.
Dan, Jack is here to discuss.
Well, so yeah, so you don't, so this is Jack Hunter, the interim town planner, Kevin Rudden, Vincent Roy, Ken.
Hi, Alan.
So Jack, are you here to discuss the fact that one selectman put in for state funds without bothering to talk to the water?
Not really.
Or that you submitted?
I'm here to introduce, I'm here to introduce myself, but now I've met you all and just tell you I'm here.
Okay.
I've been a planner for 37 years. I retired in 2020. They dragged me back out. And I'm now the planner for Mendon, Millville, and Uxbridge, and I do a little consulting work in Hudson still.
That's what I say, you don't have much work in Millville.
So you interim, while they're gonna fill it with somebody,
He's on a grant.
I'm currently on a DOR grant. We've tried to hire a full-time person to cover the 3 towns. They tried twice before I even knew where Mendon was. I've tried 3 times. It's very difficult. So,
so Jack, you don't leave it.
it's we're in discussions of me hanging around another year. But probably no more than that, or otherwise I'll be divorced. I'm supposed to be retired. And we're gonna try to groom somebody. The new human resource person has connections with the planning department at Clark University, which is a really good planning college. And maybe get an intern and I can groom them while they're still going to school. We're trying to find innovative ways to get you guys staff, or the town staff. I'm in also a unique position, and Vin will appreciate this. I was in the town of Carver. They hired me to purposely develop a water system, a new water system. We created the North Carver Water District. We bought and drew a new well, an original source well, and built a new water system. And I was told at the time in 2009, it's the first one in Massachusetts since 1942. New, completely new.
Wow.
And it's quite the enterprise, and I believe, and I checked yesterday or day before, I think our gallons per, cost per gallon of cubic feet is more than Mendon's in Carver, because it's just.
Because we're basically paying Oakdale's top dollar and then billing our administrative costs on top.
I saw your contract. You're getting screwed pretty hard.
Well, you gotta know why. You gotta know that this.
For a long time. But anyway, I was Dan as well as the planning director in Carver for 10 years. And I ran the system, I had all the headaches, and this was a new system.
Especially with the regulatory.
And with all the regulatory, we had an operator, we have small water systems out of Littleton do it, who I highly recommend if you ever need stuff. They're far away, but anyway, I loved them. I think they're still there. And I got all the grants for it. So, you know, I have experience. I staff the water district.
So you got a lot of passion for what we do too then.
What's that? Yeah, I do actually. I was listening. It was bringing back memories. It's what it was.
I gotta say, I'm delighted you're here. I will tell you candidly, and I really, in retrospect, can't blame you. I know you filed a grant. You probably didn't know we existed.
I didn't file any.
Hopefully, yeah.
For the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, yes, I did. They did.
Who did?
Blackstone.
Yeah.
They called me up and said, what do you want to do? I said, I have no idea. So I asked the town administrator and.
I'm glad to find it. First of all, we're an elected board,
Absolutely.
okay? Her Highness has nothing to do with the water system. I just want to tell you going forward, anything anybody asks you to do with water, Dan's our day-to-day guy, but the board needs to know.
Why I'm here.
So when the ARPA 150,000 that Mr. Morales is so proud of,
Which I knew nothing about.
And actually, he interfered with an existing agreement with the state rep for us to send something. Because when I went to him, I found out, well, I'd already got it from Mike, and he said it's from you. Anyway, when that comes, the selectmen can do anything they want, but it has to go through us.
That's why I'm here. I mean, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that 150. I did not know that happened. Mike called me after he got the money. I was excited. Hey, you got 150,000.
Right, but we all need to sit down to decide how to spend it, because in the end, we're the guys that have to deal with it.
I agree. And I wanted to tell you that I need your help, and hopefully you'll need my help, and we can do this
Absolutely.
together.
And I'm really glad to hear. And I'd also like to bring up that we have some money from the operational budget of the state that I did track down in what department it resides and how to access it. Because Brian Murray never did, but I read the entire state budget over the holidays and tracked it
You
down.
had a good holiday.
No, what I
I
basically
watch
did,
football, huh?
no, what I basically did is I downloaded it as a PDF, converted it to Word, and then scanned for a minute.
Yeah.
Because but in any event, I hope whenever Mike gets official word of that money, what the select board does.
He got it. It's in the bank.
Is it here? Okay, then we need to jointly meet with the select board and Mr. Hunter to talk about what we're gonna do with it. Because Mike had the word sewer put in it.
They were supposed
He
to
did.
talk.
And there is no legal entity, by the way, in this town that can deal with sewers.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't have a sewer system. It just means there's no legal entity. There's always,
Well,
I don't know why sewer, I mean, there's.
Because Mike wants sewer for the businessmen. But the problem is, and I'll get out there clearly, we've been working as volunteers for several years. We have to follow what our contract with Hopedale says and talk to surrounding towns. We might be more up at things on a daily basis than he is.
All right.
And so I just don't want him to give you directions.
He is not,
Okay,
I
we
swear.
all need to be singing from the same hymn.
I'll tell you,
where
no,
we
you'll
go.
find me maybe unfortunately honest and frank.
Good.
I've been given no direction other than find more money because 150 is not gonna do it. And, with Dan's help, and obviously yours,
Right.
run the program.
But even if
That's the
that,
only direct, and I've not talked to Mike at all about it, other than the one phone call they got, hey, Jack, we got 150,000, I said, for what? And he said, water and sewer, I said, okay.
but see, even at that, he's never called us. and told us.
Yeah.
And we need to give somebody, it's a small town, and you can't have people doing this.
Let me be here for whoever it is. I'll help you every step of the way. I've done this before, and I've worked with commissions. I know what you guys got to deal with. And you're not dealing with water sources. You're just dealing with distribution, really.
No, we are dealing with resources,
Where?
with what we want to do. Well, maybe, what you gotta realize is, the state has quadrillions more of ARPA money sitting there.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant sources of water.
Okay, but wait a minute, there's nothing to say we couldn't take that 150 and do an updated study on looking for water,
I think that's part of the 150.
okay? And then say, now we have a plan in something shovel ready, we go up to the state and say, good, now we need $1 billion to do it, or the 10 million.
I think that's an exact possibility. I mean, the way we did it in Carver was, we had a study, we hired an engineer. I didn't even like the engineer that much, but I was giving him. But it's not the point. And they did exactly what I think you guys want to do, is you want to evaluate what you got, find out of all the neighbors, who's willing to play ball, if anybody. If not, simultaneously try to find the possibility of having a sole source of your own.
Well,
Either well or surface. I doubt it's surface.
The board did a study before us, any of us were on it, on the cost of connecting to Uxbridge. And if you just add the cost multiplier over those 10 years, we're probably about 15 million just to run the pipe.
Yeah.
Well, let me direct your attention to four public documents that are on the town website. One is the study we did 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was, that basically addressed all the places that we might reasonably get water. Every town around and drilling our own wells and also the 3 contracts we have with Hopedale are also on the town website.
I've seen those, Dan's given me those.
I think that the study, it's that giant NGI resource system from 2003.
I mean, it's 3 or 4 years old, and it's undoubtedly.
I did this, yeah.
So, with all that, I need your help in picking and selecting an engineering firm. I know I have my favorites, but that doesn't mean
Right,
anything.
and let's face it, we can always write a bid to get the person you want.
And we can, but I don't know,
But I think what
you guys, Vin has somebody.
I was gonna say, having an RFQ8
Yeah,
may not be a bad idea.
Right, but I
we'll
think,
do an RFI or RFQ,
right, but I still think.
whittle that down, and then do a
I still think
select.
the first step is you, us, and the select board need to get on the same page
I agree,
as to what are we doing with that money.
I agree.
Because Mike might have an idea, you might have an idea, we might have an idea, but what I'd like to see is, you know, I'm an old line compromise guy, and if you get 50% of what everybody, you know, if Mike gets 50% of what he wants, you get 50% of what you want, I get 50% of what we want, or we get it.
Isn't that 150%?
Yeah, but this is government. You're not supposed to do the math. I did that on purpose.
I know.
But
Get my
in
calculator.
any event, we need an agreement among all the
I
parties involved that this is how we're gonna spend the money.
So, I'm going to try to find at least another 50,000.
Okay,
I'd like,
but just so you know though, we've asked twice. The town has 1.6 in ARPA money that can only be spent if they can bleed a little off on the cops and firemen. The rest of it can only be spent for water and sewer. We have that money to leverage with this money.
it's in the bank?
Yes, the town has
I'm
it.
not aware of that.
Well, we've gotten blah, blah, blah from the selectmen. We've raised it twice.
I'll
over 6
find out
months,
tomorrow.
and we get
Take
nothing.
care of that.
Yeah, the money's all in the bank.
They were supposed to discuss the study on the 15th, then they canceled their meeting. They rescheduled for the 12th. I don't know if it's going to be on the agenda. I know they've got a 6-hour agenda. Seems like it would make a lot of sense to set a separate meeting for just this topic.
I will talk to,
With the ARPA money.
I will talk to the person you've named about getting that on an agenda with me there.
That was
You-
my nice name for her, I got better money.
I know. And let's have a discussion, but I think there's a path forward. We need to do this. You know, we need to know where, you know, I was telling Dan, you know, having a water system, and Vin knows this, it's not just economic development, it's also environmental issues too.
Oh, yeah.
It's much better to have one big monitored pipe than about 1,000 other little
Right,
pipes all.
because the thing with public water supplies, they're gonna be regulatory compliance.
Right.
With private
And the
water
other,
stuff.
the other thing is, what you probably realized, what I learned a long time ago, everybody moving here, the bank makes the test a well.
Yeah.
And that's the last time that gets tested, let out cells again.
That's right.
And
That's
for all
right.
you know, you can have radon bid. I mean,
Who knows what people are doing?
well, I was astonished to find out that in the house I raised my family in, the original well on that property was abandoned and the second one was put in because the first one came up with benzene in it. And it's interesting, when we sold the house, when I got divorced, the first thing the people buying me did was get permission from Hopedale to tie in, because they're on the Hopedale board, because of the benzene. Hopedale refused us for 20 years.
Do you guys have a lot of iron in,
Iron and manganese everywhere. And around the lake, and around the lake, you have bacterial iron. It grows up.
Yeah. We ran into that in Carver bad. It got bad.
The only place that has really good water is around the Colonial Estates development. Because,
Colonial Drive.
and
Putting some-
and also where our leak was. But they're on the system because they're all built on, the Colonial Drive is
It's
built on
also
a giant
100 feet off the
sand
Old
pit,
Town
and then over
dumps. You ain't never getting an approved anything there.
I had a buddy live in there, you turn on his
That's why I
tap
put
in the
it
middle
on.
of summer, and you get ice water.
Yeah.
It was so Perfect. This guy tested it every year because he was a fanatic.
It's like a beverage, wasn't
It was the cleanest, crystal clear water, and I lived at the time on the lake where you had bacterial iron, and I had a $5,000 filter system. On Balloon Road on the border, I had a $10,000 filter system, and I'd go down his house in the summer, and he just handed me this glass, and it came out as cold as ice water, delicious.
So here, this is representative, 2.56 milligrams per liter of iron. That's, you know, and when it is, is 0.3.
Yeah, we dealt with, I don't know why I'm going down here, but you guys probably don't know about cranberries, but
Oh, yes.
Deacon's Cranberry, huge independent grower. They had so many, they weren't on our water system. Our water system was in the north. They had so many iron problems. It was mind-boggling. They spent more money. They could have ran a pipe to the ocean if they wanted to.
Go up in daylight to the Charles River Bank. Go up in daylight to Kevin Meehan's Mile. Look at the bases of all the signs for that and there. The orange, Meyer. Jack, what's his name, who just retired as president, was retired as president, Jack Hamilton, who lives in Mendon. Nobody told them they needed a filter system. Within 1 month of opening, they had to replace the toilet sink in the employee bathroom because it went orange and black.
Yeah. The one in Millville in Town Hall, their temporary Town Hall. It's orange, it like glows at night, the damn thing.
Well,
Anyway, I gotta go. That's all I wanted to say is hi, let's work together. I will get us on there, and I'm gonna find out about those ARPA funds.
And I will get you, into today or tomorrow or Monday on the ADA stuff.
Yes, please, thank you.
And I apologize, I knew you called, it's just been on my list.
Yeah. I was surprised you had an ADA director, to be honest with you. I was thrilled, I said, oh no, I don't.
Okay, and here's what's unique about it. Contrary to state law, I'm the only one in the state not receiving a paycheck. State law says.
No, I never got one in Hudson. Well, I was an employee.
That's why.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be receiving a stipend for that and never got it. The FinCom ruled they didn't have the money, but it's illegal.
You guys, you don't have to go to FinCom.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. And this year now we have to go to both selectmen and FinCom together.
Do you ask for town monies at all, or you want?
Yeah, for the town stuff.
Yeah, so our bucket is split in half. All the town-owned buildings come out of the general fund and water's an enterprise fund. We do not take any money. The enterprise is 100% self-sufficient.
We take care of the public water supply, this building, the library, his ballpark area, and the senior center.
Oh, I see.
And the police is on this complex.
See, because all the debt we incurred, which was pretty high, was assumed by the town. We operate on our own receipts, but barely kept. I didn't get paid.
Well, we actually.
Our operator, obviously.
We actually have.
And engineer too.
We actually have the legal authority. Should we be able to show that we can pay off a bond through user fees, we have the authority to bypass town government.
Yeah, so do we. So do we, yeah. We didn't dare do that because they were flipping the bill. We also use district improvement financing. You probably have dealt with that. Any new growth goes directly to the water system.
We don't have that here.
Yeah, no, you have to enact it, yeah. It took some of the heat off the town. But they're probably pretty close to paying off the debt. I haven't talked to them lately.
Well, listen, have a safe drive. It's icy out there.
Is it really?
In Springfield, yeah.
Oh, it's,
Not here, in Springfield.
I gotta use the facility.
Yeah, I'm gonna print these for you, Alan. I forgot to draft the annual report and I put stuff.
Hey, can I bring up an issue while you're doing that?
Yeah.
I ran into, while getting a headlight put in my car last Friday afternoon, I ran into the chairman of the brand new Board of Water Commissioners in Milford. Are you ready for this? Okay.
That's the draft.
They can't promise anything, but he is open because I have a long-standing connection with all three of them. He is open to me meeting with the board and requesting to resume the send it through Hopedale wheeling fee.
You shit.
I need to know, what's our usage, Dan, a year?
Give me a minute, I'll give you a number. We probably have to run a whole new line though. I think everything in Hopedale feeds Hopedale.
It does.
It's a completely brand new main from
All the way down through Hopedale?
yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're open to us coming in and asking.
Again, ARPA money.
How far of a run would that be if you run a new line?
To Howard Street,
Alan's the expert. Where does it end?
to the Milford Town line at Howard Street. But they are open to us,
Where's Howard's?
well, he said me.
So
Because
they've
I-
got a pretty good supply there.
What he said is, they're finding they have more water than they thought. And what they're doing is they're formalizing interconnection agreements with everybody. And he was just giving me an update, and I said, well, what about resuming Mendon? We used to be interconnected. And he said, how much water is it? I said, compared to what you use a teacup. And he said, well, come on in and make a presentation.
See y'all.
Jack, was nice meeting you.
All of them.
Looking forward to
Yeah, I'll
it.
talk to you, man.
Yeah. They have a very 1.6 miles.
Okay, but what,
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute.
how much water a year do we use right now?
And,
I always forget to write it down.
rates and usage,
So 1.6 miles.
1.6 miles.
Yeah, but we could go up through Bellingham.
I'd have to look
That
at it. I'd have
interconnect-
to really look at
The
the map.
Bellingham Interconnect is closer.
All right, so
Wow.
our,
There's the linkage that crosses the Charles River that we're not sure what state it's in. Presumed broken.
The Bellingham Interconnect is at the
Down at
border
the
of Mendon
bridge?
and Bellingham.
where we were,
The original feed into Minden was from Bellingham across parts of that.
Right, but if you have to run a new pipe, the Bellingham Milford Water Interconnect is up on Beaver Street in Milford. And it's
Yeah.
shorter than 1.6 miles to get to our.
so just Cape Road in FY '21
Yeah.
was 1.4 million cubic feet. The 3-year average is 1.2, 1.3. So
That's all I need to do.
that's Cape Road only.
Okay, with your permission, may I, since they know me, may I try to get on agenda and just float the issue with them? And I'll let you guys know when the date is,
I don't know how far. I'd love to send it.
because he invited me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's an old friend. I mean, I worked so long in Milford. I know all these guys in
Yeah,
the
he's-
political realm.
yeah.
Dave Condrey, by the way, is staying on. He's not leaving. They already have 4 RFPs out to fix things. They have $10,000 allocated for capital in the first 3 years. The new wellfield, Godfrey Brook wellfield plant that Milford spent $7 million building comes online this month. That's done. They put an RFP out to repair the Dilla Street wellfield right in the Charles River, and get that done within a year. And his exact words to me, the chairman, was, the water we got, what we don't know is where it's going. So he said they're preparing interconnect agreements with everybody. And I said, well, what about Mendon?
Oh my God.
Where did you say it was?
We could grow.
Something about Beaver Street?
We could grow. You could put the system over here.
Junction of Beaver Street on the
Okay.
upper end and.
Yeah, turn down Hartford Avenue.
Yeah. Go left.
The
on Grove.
first left in Bellingham is, what is that street
That's
called?
Grove.
Okay,
Go all up there.
okay, Grove comes to the intersection of Milford, Hopedale, and Grove.
Comes to Mellon and Grove.
Okay, at Mellon and Grove,
You think it's there?
at Mellon and Grove, Milford Water Company and the end of Beaver Street. And
Actually,
Milford built an interconnect about 10 years ago, and it's sitting there.
and
So run that distance.
it's actually
It's the end of
300 or 400 feet beyond what he's.
So that's 1.4 miles, so same difference.
Yes, but we don't have to run through Hopedale.
That's true.
And believe me,
But we have to cross the tracks, so half a dozen,
but we don't have to run through Hopedale. We can get.
Hopedale would love to let us do whatever we can to disconnect from them.
Right, but look, the offer was made.
Yeah.
I said as a joke, what, you're not inviting us in to talk? And I said, we used to get water from you and old Henry Papuga cut it off years ago. And he said, what do you use? I said, nothing. He said, come on into a meeting. Call up and get on the agenda.
What's worth it? I mean, that's when we haven't talked in a long
And
time.
I know all 3 commissioners personally.
you know, they have the water and could allow minimal expansion.
If they do it, it would be at a high rate, but just to get off of Hopedale?
And maybe a cheaper rate too.
Well, if the high rate wouldn't be so bad if you could have, you know, if we could get like 20 more customers, we'd be in really good shape.
Well, I'm not gonna give them 1.4 figure, guys, I'm gonna give them like 2.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, even like Bellingham had said, you know, so many a year or something. You know, because they would generate. You know,
Hey, it hurts nothing to ask, so what I'll do is I'll get on the agenda, I'll ask them to get on the agenda, and then I'll give you guys the date of the meeting. But I know these 3 guys personally. They may say no, but you know what? I think we're dropping the bucket.
well, that's, I mean, it's the same, they're bigger than Bellingham, and that was what Bellingham told us. He was like, yeah, you guys are like.
And you know, you got a 5-year-old, $28 million treatment plant, a brand new $7 million manganese and iron treatment plant, and they're gonna redo the other wells, and the other wellhead was done.
Are the wells that were out of service back in service?
Everything but Dilla Street.
Which street?
Dilla Street, right at the headquarters.
Oh,
And they're getting redone now. They're gonna get redone in the next year.
those are the original wells.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Oh, no, the original was the Charles River.
Well,
Then came the Dilla wells.
Dilla Street is the Charles River Aquifer.
Yeah, but I mean, they did the surface water first. So that right now, as of now, they're using the Charles surface water from Echo Lake all the way down. And they're using the new Godfrey Brook well field. There's the Clark's Island well field, which is in the middle of Milford Pond. That's operational and that's been rejuvenated. So the only thing left is the 2 Dilla Street wells, and they will be done by the end of the 22 calendar year.
Boy, that's a lot of capital money. That's not, it's the back of it, it's us.
Well, by the way, Brian Murray also put in that ARPA money for 5 million for them, and I think he's got 2.5. They budgeted 10. And don't forget, the state is sitting on a full ARPA money. Milford took all of it. Milford got 6 million in ARPA money. No, I'm sorry. They got 10 million ARPA money and they earmarked 5 million of it to go directly to the water company when they bought it. And they have that cash.
Yeah, yeah.
So they already put the bids out for the work. Condrey, every employee stayed on, by the way.
Well, so the what, 1.5, $1.4 million that the town of Mendon has, a good chunk of that could be toward, you know,
The interconnect, yeah,
exactly, yeah.
which is why I want to do this meeting. Anyway, that was off the agenda, but I want to,
And basically, in order to make that interconnect work, all you could do is fix the Charles River crossing.
Well,
And all the rest of the pipe is there.
the meter gets there.
Hmm?
Probably underwater.
Well, you may have to put a new meter in,
But
yeah.
you're right, it's just the crossing and the rest of it, you know. It would be better to go up that middle of nowhere street than.
see, I just like to get rid of Hopedale. I would like to give the giant finger to Hopedale at some point. I know no one else does, but I do.
And I'm sure they wouldn't mind it.
That's the farm leak you talked about.
Now, there is a big complication in that
Water.
there's not just a valve between Hopedale or between Bellingham and Milford. There's a
Yeah,
little shack which I
It's a
think
pumping
has a pump
station.
in it.
It's a pump in it, yeah.
But then the shack doesn't seem to have any source of energy, which is curious.
It's powered,
Hmm?
underground wiring. They turn that on once or twice a year and test it.
I haven't seen any tap off of the power line into the shed.
They have it because they run it. Don't ask me how, but it runs.
It has run, yes, it does work.
well, it's just mechanical, it's interconnect, it's just valves, right?
It doesn't matter, even if we, you know,
Let's see, an engineer's to be.
hey, the worst that can happen is they say, you gotta be kidding, we kicked you out years ago, you can't do it, but at least we asked. And that is a big check mark on,
One of the, I think, issues has been resolved because at the time, they were like doing all our work and we got rather needy. Now we're doing all our reporting, our testing, our
right,
paperwork. It's not, you know, Henry was changing meters for us
right.
and like physically himself doing a lot of the work. And I think that's part of what
Well, look.
the bridge is there.
The worst that can happen is they say no and we're still where we
Oh,
are.
no.
But we have an answer to that question when somebody says they've never got back to Milford.
Mm.
And now's the time to go because it's a brand new management. And we're so little, they could sneak us in without anybody knowing.
I mean, they are operating under, I'm not sure who did it, but basically the upper Charles River Basin is restricted as how much water can be taken out of it. And they're up close to the limit, but
They're,
as he says,
it's
it
there.
may be ours is so little, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
They're at but the limit is based on how much they're using. It's an interesting thing when you hear the explanation. The DEP limit is based on what they've been averaging, what they've been using over so many years.
More involved in it.
Okay, but what they were saying during the acquisition was, say the casino had come in.
Yeah.
Okay, and needed a lot more water. The cap could be raised to do that water.
You really got to jump through hoops because that's all through DEP,
Yes,
you know, and.
But that would've been very
Water
political.
Management Committee Act.
yeah, but let me explain something. If the state casino commission had allowed the casino, it would be very impolitic not to allow the water for it.
Yeah. Uh,
So there are ways of doing things.
Yes, I'm sure. You'd have to jump through. Yeah, but we're just a drop in the bucket.
You're right. So what else do we need to talk about? You talked about the leak, you talked about tools, you talked about the curb stops.
Bills are gonna go out, I'm gonna work on them next week, that's really all there was for that. Except we did. I'll chat with you a little bit, I get it, we gotta get these curb stops fixed, talked about that.
Okay.
Next meeting date, the draft annual report.
So this is a draft.
I printed one, I can print some more, I emailed it, but
If our best proofreader says okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's about $30,000 a day.
That's all we use.
That's all we draw.
Are you kidding me?
It's 11.3 million for the year.
um,
Yeah, $30,000.
And then-
It's really a drop.
That'll be something. I gotta tell you, I know all these guys. I really have a feeling that just to make, with Connor there,
Yeah.
they're putting so much money into
Revenue to them too.
They're putting so much money into to fix this system.
Like you say, you double that number. Say, yeah, we need 65. Yeah, our average yearly.
the other thing is the town newsletter, which if we're gonna, you're an elected board, so I just typed up a few bullet points that just said we repair the leak, blah, 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 thanks to the fee, we can pay it. Here, I can,
I looked at it.
I'll
I
send
think
it.
it's- Yeah,
You want
You looked at the leak?
no, I didn't go.
This.
No, I was, the letter.
There we go.
Oh, this is it.
This is what I was gonna send to them.
Yeah, hang on.
Newsletter, sorry, it's kind of,
You'd already sent this, right?
yeah, I just
Yeah,
figured.
so I read this, I thought you did a good job with the letter.
Did anyone have?
That looks fine to me. Wait a minute, oh, you gotta scroll down. No, there's one thing you gotta add. Okay,
What's that, Kathy?
you gotta add that the town has 1.6 million ARPA money we hope to use
Yeah, for water system improvements.
for water system improvement.
There you go.
Let's put it right in
There you
there.
go. I like that.
I wanna keep that in their face.
Yeah,
Well, they can't spend it on
I think it's
anything else in
1.8.
this town.
whatever it is, yeah. Just put the correct amount in, but yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm not letting their feet off the fire on that one. They can't spend it on anything else, they're gonna have to give it to us and lose it.
Hey, you got too many R's in APA.
Yeah, I know, I keep doing that, I don't know why.
It's a double R.
It's talk like a pirate Arbor Day? Well, there's only two letters in the
Rescue,
pirate
rescue.
alphabet. Vin, there's only two letters in the pirate alphabet, there's R and I. That's an old Boy Scout thing. Talk like a pirate day is in October every year.
What do we say?
The town's been allocated 100.
Take out the double R here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I miss it?
Right here. Grant from state ARPA funds.
Oh,
Last-
sorry,
last
I'm
bullet.
sharing the wrong thing. Give me a second, that's why.
Okay.
Oh, well,
This thing sucks. I thought it was screen sharing.
Uh-oh, what happened?
And then. There we go. Because it locked on the window.
oh, that one's fixed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Actually, it's federal ARPA, well, it is state ARPA funds.
yeah.
The town has allocated 1 million in local ARPA funds, and the commission very good, Dan. Okay, the town has allocated 1 million in local ARPA funds, and the commission, and the commission has requested using this money to expand
For water system improvements or expansion of the water system.
for water, no, just say water, no.
Water system improvements.
Water system improvements and possible expansion. I'll tell you, if that 1.8, I'd rip up the pipe, the old asbestos pipe that's 80 years old, get it out and put a new one in.
Oh, yeah.
Do like 1% of it. Let me look up. I want to say, I'll triple check. I think it's 1.8.
It's either 1.6 or
And I
1.8.
think we only had half of it. My father was explaining to me, and I don't.
I tell you.
Milford has it all now. No, Milford has it all now.
Yeah, maybe we do. This is a while ago.
Jeff, you know that 1.8 million doesn't go very far.
That 1.8 million won't even give us a nice dinner.
All right. So let me,
Yeah, I put in a mile and a half, 2.5 miles of pipe in the last couple of years. And exceeded that number.
Well, they're putting an new septic system in Holliston Town Hall.
is there anything else? Or because if we adjourn, I'll stop the recording. Just
Move to adjourn.
Second,
And